Okay. Vamos a iniciar. Pues, you can start your cameras, please. Hazal and Meghan. We are done now. And, we will speak in English for them, but then we will switch to Valeria in Spanish, because this is a session for Latin America also that will be transmitted to that. This is the team for WDO. Meghan is also a board member. She's down, Meghan. Meghan is there. She's a board member of WDO. Also, here is Pier, that he's from WDO, also on the board. And this is the YDC team, Valeria and Hazal. They are, it's similar. Okay, Meghan will tell you what is YDC. So they are our young design cycle designers for WDO. And I will start to present Valeria, who was selected as a young designer 2 months ago.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Then Ana Valeria Valdez Chagoya es diseñadora industrial por la UAM Azcapotzalco, realizó un diplomado en electrónica para diseñadores y artistas en el 2018. En 2019 obtuvo el Premio Nacional de Diseño Diseña México en la categoría de hardware para dispositivos móviles. Ha sido coordinadora y facilitadora en los talleres de Global Goals Jam CDMX, enfocada en la Agenda 2030, en las 6 ediciones 2017 al 2020. Asimismo, en el 21 fue coordinadora y facilitadora del taller Global Goals dentro del Congreso DISUR, Red de Universidades Públicas de Diseño Latinoamericanas. Miembro de la primera generación del grupo de investigación costurero electrónico dentro de Media Lab México 2020, enfocado en las conexiones críticas entre el arte, la tecnología, los textiles y el tejido social. Participó en el proyecto de colaboración intelectual UTU, UAM, Diseño, Género y Educación de Calidad, apoyado por AMETSI, y bueno, y otros. Sus proyectos buscan abordar las problemáticas sociales desde el diseño, los cuales han sido exhibidos en lugares como el Museo Franz Mayer, Centro Cultural el Rural University of Illinois, a Chicago, y en el Seattle Design Festival. Actualmente estudia la maestría en diseño y desarrollo de productos en la UAM Azcapotzalco, es becaria de Lens Network en la UAM Malva y forma parte del Young Design Cycle de la World Design Organization. Bienvenida.
Gracias.
Voy a presentar a Hazal. Just 1 second. Okay, then Hazal, can you say hello? Just to okay, there is Hazal. Hazal Doga is a service designer based in Finland. Her work focuses on collaboration to find out the needs and opportunities to create the services that will make life better for people, organizations, and environment. Hazal has a thesis in industrial design from Özyeğin University of Turkey and a master's degree in service design from University of Lapland, Finland, where she completed her thesis of sustainable development using service design methods. Currently, Hazal is working as a senior service designer at a company with projects from around the world, focusing on digital services and healthcare, finance, and research. Apart from her work, she is co-founder of Design Activists for Regenerative Futures and a member of Young Design Circles also. Then, as you can see, they are very young and with a very long curriculum. And after that, I will present Meghan. She's also the youngest board member in the WDO, and she's in the strategy portfolio to these young designers to get more involved. And they have a lot of things to do these years. Then Meghan is an instinctive translator, traversing between complex details and big picture ideas. Meghan's passion to provide new paths for future generations to impact the world around them is becoming more of a reality with each new role she takes on. It was this passion that led her to become the youngest board member of the World Design Organization in their 60 years history. Previously, the United States female representation in the WDO's inaugural Young Designer Cycle. Meghan has worked with the global communities to elevate design, education, and gender equality design initiatives. In the United Kingdom, she took to 18-year-olds, how to merge design, engineering, user research, and business, while also mentoring them through different phases of life. After graduating of Savannah College of Art and Design with degrees in service design and industrial design, she joined her experience in both consulting and corporate design roles. She spent a few years working as a lead design research and strategy design consultancy in Los Angeles, where she had the opportunity to work through a variety of challenges with companies like Lego, Boston Scientific, Hamilton Medical, BMW, Honda, and more. Working on large strategic problems from the outside, Meghan soon became interested in how she could potentially make a larger impact by working in-house. Then you are very welcome to join us. Thank you very much, Meghan. And Hazal is actually in Finland. Meghan, I don't know what part of the world you are. Then you can start now. You have your own dynamic. Then I will.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all for having me. I'm going to start by doing a brief presentation, and then I will hand it off to Hazal and Valeria to have an open discussion. So.
You're muted, Meghan.
Meghan.
Okay, technical difficulties, we love it. Let's see if I can try again. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you all for having us. We're very, very excited to be here. As Lilian said, my name is Meghan Preiss, and I am the board member of the World Design Organization who sits over the program that is the Young Designer Circle. You might hear us refer to it as the YDC. And I will go through a brief presentation, and then we'll share the screen and the stage with Valeria and Hazal to talk through some of their thoughts. So when I heard about the conference theme and this idea of evolution of design, design for peace, I was really excited and passionate about what this could mean. I am not a scholar by any means. I'm more of a practitioner, and I've worked in many different companies that have allowed me to understand and explore what design could be in the now, near, and far. So for example, I'm currently at Delta Airlines as a CX integration manager, and what that means in the big world of terms is I get to take people's innovations and put them onto a timeline that allows consumers to understand and experience them. But I've also worked in the near term at IBM, and that was more 1 to 3 years. And I've also worked in the far term, which we at Ford Motor Company were trying to understand what is the future of a truck in 2030, 2035. And working in all of these time frames, I've really been curious about this idea of who defines and decides what design will be and why. how do we know what design will be in 2035? And how do we know what the impact design will be in 2035? And so I've really been curious about this topic, and I think having this theme is really exciting. And so I started to really break down the different words that are along this conference: evolution, design, and peace. And I thought maybe we could walk through my thought processes and talk through kind of what I learned when I started deep diving into these words that I uncovered. And so starting off with evolution, evolution according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary is a descent with modification, or otherwise known as a process by which new things develop from pre-existing forms. And so this definition to me was really scientific in the sense that we were talking about human biology and how things really adapt to survive, which essentially is that Charles Darwin theory of evolution. And essentially, when I was researching into this further, I was looking at how evolution is evolving into two kind of conversations. There's the nature versus the nurture. And these conversations have been happening for decades. Nature is essentially this idea that you're born with these genes, these hereditary factors. So your physical appearance, your personality characteristics, they come from your parents and your parents' parents and your parents' parents' parents. And there's a lot of theorists that truly believe that everything in our beings are because of nature. And some of those theorists include Plato and Darwin, who really explore this idea of how we have come to be who we are. The other side of it is nurture. And nurture is really these environmental factors. So the childhood experiences, the social relationships, the surrounding cultures. And I was really diving into some of the theorists, John Locke and John B. Watson. So John Locke really believed in what is known as tabula rasa, which essentially suggests that the mind is this blank slate. And when you're born with a blank slate, meaning that anything you interact with essentially is what impacts you and informs your well-being. And then John B. Watson really believed that people could be trained to do and become anything, regardless of their genetic background. You can change the way that you interact with the world as long as you want to. And so really trying to understand this scientific background behind what is evolution, and when we look at evolution of design, how do we kind of define these words that we're looking at? Which, why am I explaining this? Why am I explaining and exploring the scientific word of evolution? And it's because I truly believe to understand how design is going to evolve, we need to understand and question how we as designers are going to evolve. And individually, as a community, as a world, how are the beings that are designers evolving through time? And when we look at design, we need to really question, what does it say? What does design say about humankind? And vice versa. What does humankind say about design, and what impact does it have? We often look at actual art in this way. We can look at Van Gogh and kind of understand the time period and what humankind was like at that time, the same way that we can go and look at the Renaissance era and really understand humanity. So when we're thinking about design, I really was trying to understand, well, what does evolution of the human being of a designer have to do with the evolution of design? Which then sent me down a rabbit hole of, well, what is design? How do we define what design is? And again, according to IBM design is defined by a purpose, planning, or intention that exists behind an action, fact, or a material object. And I wasn't really settled on this definition. So I was reading all of these definitions that companies have put out, from IDEO to the D School at Stanford University to IBM Design and studios from all around the world. And in my personal reflection, I've really come to understand that design is a thought process. It's how we creatively solve problems and provide solutions to opportunities or things that we're seeing. And so going down this path of, design is a thought process, well, that led me right to this idea of design thinking. And I think design and this thought process really can be broken down into, there's design thinking and there's thinking by design. Design thinking is the marketing to create a universal language. And what I mean by that, and essentially, is it was very, very important at a certain time in our history to get design to have a seat at those business leader conversations, that we needed to create a universal language that people understood what we were doing. And that is what marketing is. Marketing is creating a language that transforms or impacts human behavior. And so when we think about what design thinking is, we often look at it in the marketing way. Oh, how this company is doing design thinking, and this solution came from design thinking. But what the other side of it is, I think we as designers are doing thinking by design. It's the way that we actually solve problems every single day and create new opportunities. So design thinking to me is taking more of that marketing side to create the universal language, but really we are on the thinking by design. We are solving those creative processes that are helping us uncover opportunities and uncover problems. And so putting them together, we have evolution, which is a process by which new things develop from pre-existing forms. And we have design, which is essentially a thought process to solve problems in a creative way. Really what I was thinking is the evolution of design is the evolution of thought process. And how we really evolve as humanity in any terms is really evolving our thoughts. And so evolution of design is not just the artifacts or the styles or the outcomes. It's not just that this idea that UX design stemmed from industrial design and service design and biomimicry are going to be the new types of design, because in reality, the artifact that you're designing, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whether it's a visual, those are the tools that are helping you and supporting you in your thought process. They're helping you and supporting you in this idea of thinking by design or thinking through design. And this idea of thinking by design is really what can carry us forward. We evolve our thought process every day, every year, every generation. Millennials are different from Gen Z, who are different from Generation Alpha. And beyond the biology, really what's different is how we think and view the world. So we can really evolve humans by thinking through design. Evolution of a thought process to creatively solve problems that enables us to not get disappointed by the outcome or say a massive change in society, because the world is not going to stop throwing us curveballs. Like we all know that challenges are going to keep coming, but by this idea of thinking by design or thinking through design, we can always be equipped to handle any challenge that comes our way. And so really what's starting to happen is, and what I want you guys to leave here today is that right now, the theme of this conference or this talk is really evolution of design and design for peace. And I feel excited and honored to be speaking to the future of design. Look around the room. Everyone in this room is going to impact what the evolution of design will be. I'm speaking to an audience that has the power to say, just because this is in our nature doesn't mean that we have to accept it as the truth. Just because we were nurtured to have these beliefs or traits doesn't mean that we accept this truth, because we have the power to change what design can be. And I just want to instill in this, like, don't accept that design is what you have been told it is, or what theorists will tell you they believe it will be, or what some person in some conference room says that design can and cannot participate in. Evolve design to be the change maker that you want it to be. Evolve design to have the voice that you want it to have, and we can do that. And I'm really honored to be here today with the WDO, with my Young Designer Circle team members, to be talking about how our points of view of how evolution is really changing design for peace. And as you heard probably from Thomas yesterday and Pier and Lilian, who are in the room with you today, I'm also here representing the World Design Organization, which is a international voice for industrial design. And we have a lot of programs. We have programs that allow us to impact cities, impact universities and companies. But really the program that I'm here to share with you all and to share our thought process with is our Young Designer Circle. And so the Young Designer Circle, just a quick history, is started in 2020, and it's an international collective of young designers where our mission is to build, engage, and leverage in global interdisciplinary networks to empower designers to action sustainable changes. And so really what we're doing is we're going out and we're trying to empower designers to think differently, to push beyond what we are told that we can and cannot do. And so the Young Designer Circle is in our second cohort, and I'm so excited to be here and share the stage and kind of have an open discussion around what evolution of design is and design for peace with two of my A-team Young Designer Circle members. We have Hazal and Valeria. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and so we can get Valeria and Hazal to, or at least Hazal to join us large on this scene, and we are going to move towards having an open conversation. So one, thank you both so much for joining me. I wanted to give you guys a moment to introduce yourself briefly and say hello, and then we'll start going through our discussion. So Hazal, should we start with you?
Sure. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, I'm Hazal, and originally I'm Turkish. Right now I'm living in Finland, and I'm a service designer that mainly works with digital products and services. But in my off time, I actually try to solve world problems around sustainability and like try to save the world in a way, just as a short introduction. Valeria?
Thank you, Hazal. Well, I'm Valeria Valdez. I'm from Mexico City. Yes, okay. Bueno, soy Valeria Valdez, soy de México, soy diseñadora industrial y ahorita estoy mucho con los temas de diseño y género. Entonces, bueno, la mayoría de mis proyectos se van relacionados hacia esa área y de la par he estado coordinando los Global Goals Lab de CDMX, donde enseñamos a los estudiantes un poco de las herramientas de diseño que pueden ir aplicando hacia las problemáticas ligadas a los ODS o SDGs. Gracias por estar aquí y estoy muy emocionada de compartir con ustedes.
Awesome. So when we were prepping for this talk that we're about to have, honestly, our team went into such deep discussions around what is peace and how do we show up in design and what is our opinion on how design can impact peace. And so we were really working on ourselves as much as we were working on the world, and we know that the world changes every day, but so do we. And so I wanted to, we'll start with Hazal. What is your approach to creating this peaceful world?
Well, I thought about this quite a lot, and that is a very big question to begin with. And that is the question, like you said, we started our project with as well, around like designing for peace. But then we realized that this question is way too big and it's beyond our reach to be able to understand it. And during our research, we learned that like we should first ask the question, what is peace? And even that is too big, because peace means something different to each one of us. And peace is not something that we can design or create, but it is an outcome of actions with a lot of variables and layers inside of it. So it is very complex to explain. Like if we think of like a peaceful world, let's say, take world, it is a very big thing with humans and other beings like animals, insects, all of nature in it. It is impossible for us to understand peace in this level to begin with, because we cannot know what peace means to each and every being, and we cannot harmonize them into one meaning. So let's go a bit like deeper into that level. There are continents, there are countries, they are still very big and very complex. Maybe a bit smaller, we are looking at communities. And okay, we can actually do something with that. But at the heart, there are individuals. And that is where I feel like we should look into and we should start with to understand what peace means to an individual. And this might sound too small, but if you think of yourself as a human, we are very, very complex beings. Like think of what affects our worldview, our emotions, thoughts, physical being, our environment, our communities, narratives, the news we see every day. And with all of these inputs, we change every single day. And so does our worldview and of peace. So if we want to be peaceful, we need to achieve that in ourselves first, like individual level, asking hard questions to ourselves, being honest with ourselves, and communicate honestly with others, trust others with ourselves. This has the potential to have butterfly effect, because think of an individual, we change someone's life, an individual's life, and that affects their close family, friends, and colleagues. So now we are looking at a group of people, and then we can actually think of bigger groups. So the question maybe is that we should focus on is what is our approach to guide an individual to be peaceful. So first focus on achieving peace in an individual level holistically for them, and then scale it to groups, communities, countries, and maybe even the world.
Thank you, Hazal. I will speak my ideas in English and Spanish just to follow the conversation. First in Spanish, bueno, nosotros estuvimos trabajando a larga distancia en Miró, y pues sepan que nosotros somos de diferentes países, ¿no? Entonces hay de la India, de Colombia, de Finlandia, que están también en Turquía, Canadá y acá México, ¿no? Y pues bueno, estuvimos cuestionándonos desde nuestros contextos propios cuál era la historia de nuestros países en relación a la guerra y a la paz, ¿no? Porque siempre va a variar y de alguna manera pues traemos una historia que habla desde esos conflictos y que de alguna manera ha influido y ha quedado en nuestros cuerpos como rupturas, en donde pues sí quedan algunos traumas, ¿no? Como sociedad. Y esos traumas en la sociedad también se van impactando en esos comportamientos o los resentimientos que llegamos a tener hacia otras personas. Entonces, pues bueno, estuvimos viendo esa parte y llegamos a la conclusión, como bien dice Hazal, de que hay que empezar también por uno mismo, ¿no? O sea, analizarnos un poco, ver pues qué comportamientos tenemos, cómo reaccionamos hacia ciertas cosas que nos detonan enojarnos, y a partir de ahí ver cómo influencia nuestras relaciones con los demás, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, estas relaciones con los demás pues son, hagan de cuenta que es un efecto dominó que va pegando hacia otras personas hasta otros tipos de organizaciones como empresas, por ejemplo, ¿no? Son comportamientos que se van desplegando, y mucho de ello pues tiene que ver con la transición de diseño, hacia dónde nos estamos enfocando, ¿no? Anteriormente pues sí era como un poco hacia producir objetos que fueran de consumo y que las personas lo pudieran obtener. Pero ahora pues hay que también un poco voltear a ver esta otra parte del diseño en donde nuestros objetos también que están detonando, nuestros comportamientos que están detonando y hacia dónde va esas acciones, ¿no? Porque pensémoslo, nuestros diseños tienen una agencia en el contexto en el que estamos diseñando y eventualmente va a impactar de alguna manera u otra. Y ya lo estamos viendo, ya lo estamos viviendo con la contaminación, por ejemplo, ¿no? Entonces, esa es una parte y la otra es que, pues justo como va a diferentes capas, a diferentes formas en que nos relacionamos, nos estamos dando cuenta que es sistémico, ¿no? No es un problema aislado y nuestros objetos no tienen un impacto aislado. Entonces, bueno, ahora les voy a decir en inglés para que puedan. So you can follow the conversation and the things that I already say. I was told them that it's about the layers that Hazal was saying about first in individual way, just analyzing our emotions and our behavior and how that impact with our other relationships, with other ones, with our close circle, and then to other kind of organization as the companies where we work. So that was one thing, and the other one was the transition in design, where we need to focus now more in the behavior and our emotions and values that we are trying to represent in the things that we are designing. And those designs have kind of an agency in the context that we are living or that we are developing our designs. So maybe we can pass to the other question, or if you want to say something. Yeah, okay. Yes. Yeah, I would like.
If you wish, we can have a question from the ladies.
I think we have 2 more questions,
Okay.
and then we can pass to the audience. So Meghan.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. So yeah, as you were saying, it's a system, and it's definitely problematic. But how do we really evolve this system? As designers, how can we use design to change the system and the process?
Should I go first?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So in order to change the system, we actually need to look at the process that made the system first. And as designers, we need to think of our processes. Let's think of the product design back in the day. And as an example, like plastic, very good material back in the day, marvelous, that lasted forever, which now we understand how forever like long is. And we used it extensively in our designs without noticing what the effect of it in 20, 30, 50 years would be. And right now, as a result of that extensive use, we have plastic pollution. Okay, plastic is cheap and widely available, but what is the true cost of it? If we don't use plastic, what are the alternatives? How affordable will it be? Can we take a look at it that like a product design or like design process from the lens of these questions? Another example of like lasting products is now like from where I'm living in Finland, there is a huge trend on products that are lasting generations, like a jacket that you might have that your grandmother used before, your mother used, and now you're using it. And now this type of lasting actually benefits us, and it is affordable. The product is made to last, knowing how it will affect our future as well. So bringing it back to our processes, our current processes that we use are thought and put to work back in the day when it fit that time and those people who were living in it. But right now, they are not enough. And we have big problems, complex problems that need more thorough processes. Take design thinking, for an example. It is our process that we use for our projects most of the time, and the outcome is a product or a service. If we take a complex problem that requires a systemic solution, how well does it actually work? How well does it work when we try to scale it to include environment, the stakeholders that are not directly affected by our solutions, like the next generations? Or what happens when that product or service is used and then that product is broken or it's trashed? What happens after that? Now it is our responsibility to know these things, to answer these questions. So if we take peace as a problem, it is very complex and it requires a systemic solution. How can we achieve peace if we still use the same processes that directly or indirectly cause the problems that we have today? And if we don't ask the hard questions and find the answers to that hard questions to benefit all beings, like humans, animals, plants, the nature, all of it, how can we truly solve this complex problem? We have the responsibility and the power as designers to fix the problems we face today and create a better world. And in order to do that, we need to examine our current processes and make the changes to fit today, but also our and next generations' futures, because what we are doing now will be the future.
Thank you, Hazal. Well, from my perspective, I would say I have two things or ideas. The first one is really related with the thing that you already said with other things, and it's about challenge the anthropocentric view that we have in design. Come on, we know about the human-centered design, but how about thinking about other kind of species, like the species that live with us in our houses, for example, our pets. We are transitioning our model of families where it's not the traditional families, and we are evolving to other kind of families where maybe you don't want to have kids or you want to have just your plants and your pets, for example. So it's necessary. Also, I have seen a lot of designs focused on the bees that I think that is kind of a good exploration for us to think in other ways to design for other species more than just the humans. And the other one is about thinking in this world that is development, because we have the SDGs that are sustainable development goals. So what kind of development? From where? For who? We have been trying to approach to development, but in just one way or just one perspective. And I think that it's necessary to kind of explore the pluriverse of visions. Something that I think we are really related here is with the word of cosmovision. Just make your head like yes if you have heard that word. No? Yes? So you understand what is cosmovision and from where it comes that word, right? So this word I was trying to translate to my team, like the belief systems of other kind of cultures, or for example, our indigenous communities. So we are really trying to connect or to think about them. And we have something really controversial here, like the Tren Maya, for example. So that development is already kind of considered those indigenous communities. I don't think so, but maybe we are in a good kind of starting point to consider this transition in design. And I encourage you to challenge that vision and kind of think beyond of what we are taught in our schools, for example. So do I need to translate in Spanish really quickly? We have time? Yes? Okay. So, yes, I pass the microphone to...
Yeah, so it's really interesting that you're talking about challenging this idea of design, and we really view design as our toolkit. It's our language and our strategy that we use to make this change. So as designers, we know this, but how can we start to make design a toolkit for everyone to use in this context? Hazal, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, if you think of the design as a toolkit or a process, design starts with understanding others. So understanding others begins by actively listening, observing, and putting ourselves in others' shoes. So basically, empathy. So we all think that we have that, but currently the empathy in the world is decreasing due to many things. One of those things is the speed of the world. A lot is happening every day. It is very noisy in our lives, and we are affected every day and burdened every day. So we started to use our empathy battery because we have that battery for the things and beings that we care the most and first. So like our families, our friends, our pets even. And we try to listen and help them, but we don't have the tolerance or patience to have empathy for others in our lives. If you think of your colleagues, let's say, let's expand the view a bit more. If you think of your colleagues or your neighbors, when was the last time you actually talked to them honestly? When was the last time you were honest about how your life is going? Do you know how their life is truly? You might ask, why do we need this type of information anyway? But that is the information that actually bonds us together, makes us care, and forms a community. So we are going in the direction of being very individualistic and losing our empathy. Today, if someone asks when you're passing by, how are you? It doesn't actually mean that they care about how your life is going. It basically means hello. And people don't want to hear more than that. That leads us to hide more from them. So design has the power to change this, my point of view, to teach and practice empathy for other beings. But right now, it's not inclusive or approachable from other people. We as designers we're in our own world and our own communities. So we need to expand. We need to start collaborating with others extensively, start actively listening to people and show people how to listen as well, facilitate honest communication and form trust between different individuals, different groups. So as designers, we can actually facilitate this and make it so understandable and approachable so that anyone can take this process and use this toolkit in their daily lives. What do you think, Valeria?
Yes, I will agree with you. And I also, okay. Buenísimo. Pues bueno, a mí me gusta pensar en el diseño y en las herramientas del diseño y en los procesos del diseño como si fuera a entrar a un buffet en donde hay muchos platillos y entonces yo agarro lo que a mí me sirve y lo voy aplicando a los diferentes problemas que estoy teniendo, ¿no? Estos problemas que yo quiero resolver. Entonces, algo que me gusta del diseño como herramienta es esta adaptabilidad que podemos tener en los diferentes proyectos que nosotros queramos realizar. Y justo esta adaptabilidad no es que ya esté hecha, ¿no? Porque muchas de las herramientas o muchos de los conocimientos del diseño vienen del norte. y esos contextos son totalmente diferentes a lo que podemos llegar a tener aquí, ¿no? En México, en Centroamérica, en Norteamérica y en Sudamérica, ¿no? Entonces, creo que una manera de poder acercar el diseño a las personas es justo también adaptarlo y buscar estas nuevas rutas dentro de nuestras rupturas, en donde podamos llevar en práctica esta parte del diseño, ¿no? Otra cosa que también me encanta y que me emociona mucho de cómo se lleva a cabo el diseño como herramienta es la apropiación de estas herramientas que se van dando en las comunidades. Por ejemplo, yo trabajo mucho con comunidades de mujeres y también con niños. Y esta manera de tratar de buscar que estas herramientas sean disfrutables, porque nadie quiere hacer algo que sea totalmente aburrido, la verdad. Esta manera de tratar de conectar con las personas a través de lo que estemos diseñando y las herramientas es lo que a mí me fascina y me encanta, y que digo, sí, aquí está el meollo del asunto, ¿no? De alguna manera, esta apropiación que tienen estas personas, por ejemplo, un caso que yo tuve fue enseñarles a organizar una estrategia a unas amigas que se iban a manifestar el 8M, ¿no? Entonces, como pueden ver ustedes, no es un objeto lo que yo estaba haciendo, sino tratar de producir una estrategia, y ellas adaptaron bellísimamente estas herramientas y las utilizaron para proponer a otras mujeres, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, como ahí podemos ver, el diseño en realidad tiene un campo de acción mucho más allá de lo que pues hemos venido haciendo, ¿no? Tiene una forma muy importante de funcionar como catalizador, es decir, que nosotros también llegamos a ser agentes de cambio a través de cómo adaptamos y reapropiamos esas herramientas del diseño en cualquier problema que se nos vaya a cruzar. Tampoco voy a decir que el diseño lo resuelve todo, ¿no? Pero sí en algunas partes, como son los problemas complejos y las problemáticas sistémicas, sí llega a incidir, ¿no? Y de poco en poco sí podemos llegar a hacer como un cambio significativo, pero justo es un proceso, ¿no? Y otra parte que me gustaría también abordar aquí es los prototipos. Ahorita en la universidad, pues sí llegamos a tener que queremos enseñar como el prototipo o el resultado final lo más bello y lo más estético posible y lo más brillante y lo más funcional. Pero en realidad donde está el verdadero aprendizaje es en todo ese proceso en donde echamos a perder muchísimas cosas, ¿no? Ahí es donde decimos, ya no voy a volver a hacer esto, o esto me va a funcionar para aplicar con otras comunidades, o esto lo voy a aplicar cuando trabaje en tal empresa, ¿no? Entonces, a través de atrevernos a hacer las cosas y sí, en algún momento llegarla como a echar a perder ciertos procesos, es donde se aprende, pero es en el atreverse en donde está el inicio de muchos caminos a través del diseño. So I will pass to Meghan, your microphone.
I think Hazal's gonna wrap us up.
Yep. So we have been talking about these questions for so long that these thoughts are actually like coming out in all kinds of ways now, and we can all tackle this in our own ways and contribute like as designers. We all have a different approach to life, thinking, learning, and changing individually. We will have a significant impact overall in the society anyway. But over the next year, we will be looking at designing for peace in our young designer circle in our project. We will be researching into what peace is, what it means for different people, talking to experts, and also try to actually create that toolkit and process that will guide individuals and small groups to achieve peace, or what peace means for them in their lives. So we will be looking into these in the next year, and hopefully we can actually share some updates with you when we have the results of that. And thank you very much for listening to us and being here and inviting.
Thank you very much to you, Hazal, Meghan, Valeria, to be here and to discuss all of these obscure, complex thoughts about how we can, as designers, change with our decisions when we are designer or when we are through research or, as you say, prototyping. That is for me, it's the design thinking method. No, you are prototyping and thinking about design, solving all these complex problems. But what happens? I have one reflection after all this talk that it's more a reflection or a question. Then we will have the questions. I will say in Spanish and then in English because first is for them. Es cómo podemos cambiar el diseño o utilizar diferentes herramientas para que Design for Peace o diseño para la paz sea la línea guía y el punto de partida o el más importante cuando empezamos un brief de diseño. ¿Cómo podemos evitar conflicto, no? Paz es evitar el conflicto, evitar la violencia, desde el diseño como individuos, que así empezaba la charla, desde la parte cultural después, desde la parte global, ¿no? El continente, los grupos étnicos, y cómo podemos trabajar juntos si tenemos diferentes formas de pensar. Y esto tiene que ver con el tema de coexistencia, que no es, la paz no es que todos tengamos que pensar igual, ¿no? Es que todos somos diferentes, pero tenemos que coexistir. Y aquí hay un tema complejo, que es la palabra empatía, ¿no? Empatía nos la han vendido yo creo que mucho y está muy gastada esta palabra, ¿no? Porque empatía quiere decir que yo me ponga en los pies del otro. Pero ¿cómo me puedo poner en los pies del otro si ese otro mata? ¿No? Entonces aquí empieza la violencia porque yo me opongo a ese otro y lo meto a la cárcel o a ver qué le hago, ¿no? Entonces la violencia se sigue replicando. Entonces aquí la empatía no funciona. Por lo tanto, es más bien escuchar al otro, escucharlo y tratar de juntos, con las diferentes formas de pensar, llegar a una misma meta. Juntos, es un trabajo colaborativo, no de empatía, sino a una misma meta, que es un poco lo de la charla anterior que tuvimos con Jorge, algunos de ustedes estuvieron ahí. Creo que, bueno, esa sería mi reflexión. I want to switch in English for you. Then is how we can change the design, that the design for peace could be the guideline and the starting point for a brief of design, how we can avoid the conflict from the design, from individuals, from cultural people. If we have also social exclusion, and how we can work together to coexist together, instead to, it's something that I tell them is the word empathy. It's not to have empathy, it's to listen to people and to go together to design with the same goal. Because if we have different things of mind or mindsets, it's difficult to have empathy with a killer, no, for example. But we can go together to have some goal with different kind of mindsets. That's my reflection. And after that, we can go to the questions for the audience. You can say in Spanish or English, as you prefer. Okay. Then, Mariana, could you help me with the microphone?
Tenía la duda de, pues mencionaba, perdón,
Valeria.
que habías ayudado a desarrollar una estrategia para mujeres que iban a protestar en el 8M. Y mi duda era como, ¿qué tipo de trabajo fue eso? ¿Cómo tenías que colaborar con estas personas como para hacer ese tipo de, o sea, ¿qué fue cuál fue el resultado de ese trabajo? Claro, ¿se escucha ahí? Pues justo el resultado fue la organización colectiva. Y por colectivo me refiero también a los cuidados colectivos que estábamos tratando ahí. Porque como ustedes sabrán, pues bueno, es complejo, es caótico ir a manifestarse dependiendo de qué rol vas a tener ahí. Y algo que, o sea, muy concreto y muy específico, lo que yo les enseñé fue la herramienta de poems. Vamos a hacer un poema. Es personas, objetos, perdón, es que lo estoy traduciendo. Environment, ambiente, es que me cuesta ahí trabajo escuchar. Los medios y los servicios, ¿no? Entonces, de alguna manera era como ir mapeando lo que estaba como a nuestro alcance y cómo nos íbamos a poder mover, porque pues algunos ya teníamos de alguna manera conocimiento de que la policía iba a estar en cierta parte, que iban a hacer bloqueos en ciertas calles, tratar de apagar nuestro wifi, pero de alguna manera sí organizarnos para ir a manifestar, ¿no? Entonces, pues bueno, esta chica que la pueden encontrar como Línea de Luz en Instagram, tiene una estética padrísima, ella es chicana, y ahorita vive aquí en la Ciudad de México. Ella hace mucho trabajo visual y entonces puso justo esta herramienta de poems para que, como post de Instagram, para poderlo viralizar en las redes sociales y pues varias amigas nos dijeron que les servía hacer un poema, ¿no? Entonces es de alguna manera un poquito cambiarle esa dinámica de que tiene que ser algo para tenerle miedo y en vez de eso como crear una forma de hacer algo bonito al estarnos poniendo como en contexto y organizarnos para las manifestaciones públicas, ¿no? ¿Alguien más tiene preguntas?
¿No? Yo es un comentario. A ver, pues, primero acá, ¿eh? Luego le pasamos el micrófono.
Okay. Thank you. It's great. It's a great talk. Very important issue. Can you hear me first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I did not prepare anything about this topic. So actually, I reacted about what you say. So first of all, I totally agree with you all, in particular with Hazal when she said that it's a cultural issue. I mean, peace is the result of the outcome of actions of people. So it's a kind of something that we cannot design. So design is when you project something, you design for the future. In a certain way, you can manage the safety, for instance, because when we talk about war, which is the opposite side of peace, because we did not say anything about war, but we have also to mention, she said conflict, war of violence. But in any case, when we feel unsafe, we are basically in a conflict or in a war or something like that. And safe is an important need that is in a pyramid. If you remember, there is a pyramid with the needs, the Maslow pyramid. And the first level is the basic needs, such as eating and so on. The second level is safe. So safety is really, really important. The second point is there a design for war or for conflict? Sometimes it's useful to change people in a negative way, asking us. Can we design war? Of course, when we think about it, when we think about war, we think about weapons, we think about the gun. So the gun could be the outcome of design for war. As As you know, I am from not from Mexico. I'm from Europe. I'm from Italy. And you know, there is a war close to Italy. It's a war in Europe. So we usually say that weapons or guns to Ukraine are for peace, but it's not so simple to understand. So weapons, outcomes that are designed for war are sent to people for peace. So, I don't know if you can understand.
Yes.
Even if I'm in favor, of course, of the legal, we are sending to Ukraine to defend herself against the attacks of Russian troops. But in any case, it's a cultural issue, we say. So education maybe is the answer. You mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals. So our design agenda is to consider from the real beginning all the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular with the goal number 4, which is education. So fostering good education for all is, I think, one of the pillars for reaching also peace. And I want also to say that there are some weapons that are terrible, such as the scarcity of water. The scarcity of water, fresh water. In some countries, such as Africa, could cause war. So it's a tool for war. Even global inequality, social injustice. So all these issues that are part of also unsustainable way of living are topics, of course. So I'm very happy that we are addressing these big topics in this place, in a conference with basically young students. So it's very, very important. So again, climate change, say global inequality, social injustice, and so on are key issues that we have to tackle, starting at university level, of course, before university. So education is, I say, the answer. I don't have questions.
Thank you. Gracias. Pues yo solamente es una reflexión. Quisiera compartir en función un poco de todo lo que se ha comentado. En la evolución, la tecnología y sus avances nos han vuelto más competitivos y eficientes. Eso sin lugar en ningún momento de esto. Esto nos ha vuelto más competitivos y eficientes, pero al mismo tiempo nos ha llevado a una despersonalización para dar paso a la automatización, olvidándonos de a quién servimos y para qué servimos en lo general y en lo particular desde nuestra actividad como diseñadores. Nuestro compromiso nos lleva a replantearnos los aspectos éticos y morales de nuestra profesión. Desde mi punto de vista, deberemos de regresar a las humanidades. Ojo, chicos, no como un conocimiento aburrido, ¿no? Donde nos tenemos que chutar a filósofos y pensadores de la historia, ¿sí? Sino regresar a las humanidades como un conocimiento propio y esencial de la forma y espiritualidad humana que busca el bien común, encontrando un sentido a nuestra vida a partir de nuestra propia vocación para despertar conciencias, sensibilizar, hacer comunidad, ser conscientes de que nuestras acciones repercutirán necesariamente en otros como un efecto dominó. De ahí que deberemos saber elegir y decidir, no de manera individualizada, sino en función de una colectividad, diseñando desde lo más profundo del ser para y por la humanidad. Es decir, no hay acción sin elección
y no hay elección sin que necesariamente, ¿sí?, como consecuencia haya una acción. Pero estas acciones que vamos a realizar nosotros como diseñadores deben de ser acciones pensadas, ¿sí?, justamente para ese colectivo al que nosotros vamos a hacer, ¿sí?, y pensadas en función de ese bien común, pensadas en función de la esencia del ser humano, ¿sí? Esa es una reflexión que quise compartir un poco en función de todo lo que el panorama que nos han dado y agradezco. La verdad es que súper interesante en estos tiempos en los que de repente nos hemos vuelto pues más individualistas, ¿sí? Y egoístas, ¿no? Y creo que en ese sentido nosotros como diseñadores nunca debemos de olvidarnos de que nuestra profesión está siempre enfocada hacia otros, ¿sí? Siempre debemos de resolver necesidades de otros. Entonces no podemos diseñar para nosotros, no podemos autosatisfacernos, tenemos siempre que pensar en el otro, como lo decía la doctora Lilian. Muchas gracias.
Valeria, ¿quiere agregar algo más?
Sí, justo lo que ahorita nos comentaban, una arma que también yo creo que está muy presente aquí en México es el miedo, ¿no? El miedo como arma desde, bueno, para todos los niveles de la sociedad. Entonces, este miedo también está ligado con la violencia, ¿no?, que se vive aquí en el país, en cualquier espacio. Y siento que es una forma también de ver que estas armas pues no solamente son, vaya, como los objetos como tal, sino también estas formas de comportamiento que otras personas imprimen sobre la sociedad. Entonces, pues bueno, eso me lleva como a otra vez recalcar que son problemas sistémicos que tienen diferentes raíces y que de una sola forma no se van a estar resolviendo, sino que está interconectado con otras causas, ¿no?, otras razones. Esa por una parte. Y la otra es este tema que me imagino que ya la habrán escuchado, que es diseñar para el pluriverso, y que me imagino que ya han de haber escuchado sobre Arturo Escobar. Si tienen la oportunidad de leerlo, léanlo, porque justo abre este panorama hacia considerar a los demás, ¿no?, y desde diferentes puntos de vista. Entonces, nada, gracias por estar aquí y por dejarnos compartir un poquito de lo que estamos haciendo. Gracias, Lilian, por invitarnos.
Gracias por sus preguntas. Meghan and Hazal, I don't know if you want to make a closure, some comments, or are you okay with that? Because all the discussion was in Spanish, or about the peer comments. You are okay? We can closure the session, or somebody else that have a question? Okay? They are already tired. Okay, then thank you very much, everybody. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you, Meghan. This is a present. Where is the camera? You have to switch to here. That way. Okay. Okay, I can be here. Then thank you. This is a present for you. I will send you, I don't know how, okay, but this is a student product in ceramics. It's a beautiful heart of Mexico. Then this is for you physically, and I will send you all the recognition also digitally. But thank you very much. I appreciate your time and all these codes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.